Welcome to Israel. The term in Hebrew that means perfect peace is Shalom, Shalom. And that's what we wish for all of our precious viewers of Israel Vision around the world each week. So welcome to our program today.
But Shalom, Shalom is also the name of an organization set up in Jerusalem by our dear friend Ron Cantrell.
Actually, it's called Shalom, Shalom. And thanks for coming, Ron. We really enjoy having you on the program. And actually, you're back by popular demand because we got quite a large number of requests for more information about your writing and your organization.
That's a nice compliment. Thanks for the invite.
You're a man of many talents. And one of them being that you're a public speaker, you're a graphic artist, you're a very wonderful grandfather and father, and we enjoy you as a friend. Now, tell us what you're up to these days.
Well, with the things that are going on in the world, every time you think you can fix a cup of tea and relax, something new happens. So
that's true.
Public speaking is a big demand right now, particularly with the situation with the Mahdi, which is the latest book that I wrote. It was
It
was written about 2 years ago. That's when I first heard of this term, and found it quite by accident. I downloaded a book by one of the Ayatollahs from Iran that just happened to be translated into English by the Director of Middle Eastern Studies at the University of Virginia for use in the United States at the madrasas or the Islamic schools of teaching in the larger cities, Islamic communities. Well, 490 pages of information about the Mahdi from Ayatollah Amini is condensed in this book for Christians so we can know what this whole situation is all about. Now, 2 years ago, hardly anybody had heard of this.
No.
And no Christians were writing on it that I know of. Now, almost weekly, something new crops up about this Islamic character.
What does Mahdi mean?
Mahdi is the term used for an Islamic messianic figure or a Messiah that will come. A lot of people, the minute they hear that, go, well, is that the Antichrist? No, it is not. Even Islam has an Antichrist. They call him Al-Dajjal. But the Mahdi is another picture entirely. Supposedly disappeared as a 9-year-old in the 10th century with the promise that came down through tradition that when it was time for Islam to wage a war that would put Islam as the last standing religion on the face of the earth, the Mahdi would come out of hiding, announce himself, and then the Islamic world would know that...
Have they put a name to this person, to this...
No, not yet. Not yet.
They haven't.
No.
Now, you've said...
The Mahdi is as far as I understand, the Mahdi is the title and the office.
All right. So he is to appear.
So he is to appear.
Now, you mentioned recently in one of your emails that one of the darkest characters in the history of the world will soon appear. Who are you referring to?
Well, I was referring to Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, the president of Iran, and I was saying that what we see going on in Iran at this time is a tyrant on the level of Hitler and Mussolini.
Wow!
And we just have to keep our eyes on him. And he just spent $17 million on a mosque in Tehran dedicated to the Mahdi.
Wow.
In the expectation of his coming out of hiding. Also, I understand that he connected Tehran with a small village by a large boulevard at a great expense, also dedicated to the Mahdi. Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, if you remember, was one of the leaders of the American embassy
yes, we heard that.
Hostage takeover.
The hostage
but it was
takeover.
Never proven, was it?
When they spent 444 days trying to get out of this embassy.
And he was one of those ones that orchestrated.
I understand he was among those who were orchestrating that. But now his calling for Israel to be wiped off of the face of the earth and, wanting nuclear power and his continual comments about this coming Islamic figure As a matter of fact, the United Nations at the 60th anniversary last year, my wife Carol and I were watching on television, and the speakers, he happened to be one of the last speakers, and when he spoke, my hair stood on end because he ended his whole speech in a prayer that Allah would quickly send the perfect man who would bring peace and justice to the earth. Now, if you don't know anything about the Mahdi, that sounds like a very good prayer. Who wouldn't want a perfect man that would come and bring peace and justice to the earth? But if you know the Mahdi, this is a euphemism for this Islamic messianic figure. And he was caught on tape in a hallway talking to one of his colleagues later, and the conversation was, did you know that when you spoke there was a halo around you? And Mahmoud said to him, I could tell that something special was happening because it was as if Allah was holding every one of the world's leaders without even their eyes being able to blink so that I could deliver my message. So we're seeing an amazing thing going on in Iran, and I'm so glad. Actually, it's a wonderful thing because we're watching things that really point us toward the end of days, and we are here and we get to participate in it.
Yes.
So it isn't something really to be frightened about. It's something to be excited about, that we are here now at this time period, and we see these things unfolding in a most amazing, fantastic
rapidly,
way.
don't you think?
Rapidly,
things are
very
being
rapidly.
exposed. I would say that evil is being exposed
Yes.
for all the earth to
Yes,
see.
definitely.
Now, you have mentioned that the Chronicles of Narnia paint a picture of how people will be duped with the coming
Actually,
of the
it
Mahdi.
wasn't the Chronicles.
No.
It was another C.S. Lewis book series,
Which is?
and that's the Space Trilogy. And the last book, which is called That Hideous Strength, he paints a picture of an organization called the NICE that began to take over big chunks of the government system within Britain. Now, if I'm not mistaken, he wrote the book prior to the formation of the United Nations. So with that in mind, I have to say that this man, this man really loved God in a very special way. And a lot of the writings that he has done are very sensitive to the presence of the Lord.
Also to the war between darkness and light.
Yes, definitely. The war between darkness and light. And with the way things are going now, I just see him as a kind of a soft prophet in his writings.